Hey y'all, welcome to Steph and Cat Talk Wow, the interview edition. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, writer for Daily DDT and color commentator. And I'm not alone because, of course, I'm with my tag team partner, Katrina Blake from In Cat We Trust, and creator of multiple things and writer for Daily DDT. And we are not alone either because we are here with a super special guest in the form of the absolutely adorable and spirited Tiki Chamorro. How are you, Tiki?
I'm good. How are you? Half a day, everybody.
I'm doing great, and we are so honored to have you on to talk about mental health and also for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We love every person of color here on the show, and we are so glad we get to have conversations with every woman of color on here. So, where I'm going to start with though is asking you, when did you fall in love with wrestling, Tiki?
I would have to say, I fell in love with wrestling when I stepped in the ring during the tryout a while. I didn't really grow up watching wrestling. I was more into playing sports, with rugby and soccer and volleyball. So I didn't like sit down and watch TV. I was just out and about all the time. But yeah, once I stepped in the ring and I took my first bump and I learned how to wrestle and like get proficient at it or like gradually get proficient at it, I just fell in love with it.
So, as you are a woman in wrestling, and we are wrestling like content creators and
Mhm.
broadcasters and stuff. And so, wrestling has done so much as far as going forward with women in there. But women of color is still a lot smaller than we would like it to be in wrestling. And so, what does it mean for you to be, a woman in wrestling of Asian American Pacific Islander heritage, but also kind of bringing that culture into wrestling?
Um, to me, it means so much. I am very blessed and fortunate to be able to be on this platform with WOW and not only representing myself, but other little kids that look like me, Islanders, people of color. So it's important to me because I know that I wear a heavy weight on my shoulder, even though I appreciate it and I'm more than willing to bear it. Um, but yeah, I'm very honored to represent that. And I think it's very important that people of color, especially women, are proud of it because why not? Why not inspire the next generation? Why not encourage other women and little kids to be like, hey, if I could do it, you can do it too.
Absolutely. And my question, to follow that up is there any particular woman in wrestling or even outside of wrestling of Asian American or Pacific Islander heritage that you look to for inspiration to keep your fires burning?
Yes, of course it has to be my mom. She's a very strong woman. Well, all moms in general. And then for the athletic side, it would have to be Portia from the Black Ferns of Rugby in New Zealand. And then I love other like female wrestlers like that are tiny like me. Even though they're not a person of color, they're just the size to me is okay. If they're tiny and mighty, then I could be tiny and mighty too. So that. And then I would also say, I don't know, there's just so many. There's a rugby player named Charlotte from Australia, and she's a beast, and I love that. And then we also have Inanna from the USA, and she's also a beast. So, yeah, I love women who are like not afraid to be strong and powerful and be proud of it.
Love that answer. Love that. And so, I'm somebody who also struggled with mental health issues. I have my anxiety and everything that happened. And to be fair, 2020, I feel like put a lot on us as a group of people, kind of forced to kind of deal with that in kind of solitude to an extent. And so, what are like some ways as far as thank you one for being open about those mental health struggles, but what are some ways that you have overcome those struggles, maybe even if you're still doing that, and like how has that been, like, I guess, beneficial for you, like going forward in other aspects of your life?
So I'm with you, Katrina. Yeah, I do suffer from like anxiety and depression, and then with the military, it's also PTSD. It took me a while to reach out, like about 2 years after the military, to actually find someone I could talk to and like be really progressive with like how can I be better? How could I navigate my mental illness but still be present here? Um, the advice I would say is to just reach out when you're ready because it's always on that individual to be ready. You can't force it onto someone, even if you're a family member wishing them well. It's always that person that needs to make the step, and you could just be encouraging as much as you can. One of my coping skills that I use, I started using it where it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 things you can see. So you start grounding yourself. 4 things that you can touch. I mean, you don't have to physically touch it, but you can like grab it or if you want to touch it. And then like 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can hear, and then 1 thing you can taste. So it's kind of like a grounding, being present. And I use that. I've been using it more often. And then another trick that I learned is if you ever have like a fidget spinner, that's really good for like if you're traveling, if you're doing interviews, if you're like even if you're walking and your mind's somewhere else, like that's a good like something to have in your
That is really great advice because even I also struggle with mental health at times. And I do, I am very grateful that someone like you has the platform to speak out on the issues of mental health and the struggles of what that takes. And then, having the tools to, sort of get better and get to a place of healing. So I greatly appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure there are people who will definitely appreciate hearing that from you as well. And just the idea of you powering through all of that to be a great example of Pacific Islander women in wrestling is just an amazing feat in and of itself. And you have mentioned that you served in the military, and we do thank you for your service. Um, is there anything that you took from the military and applied to your wrestling career as a whole, or is it something that you have that's a little bit separate from each other?
I do think I took a lot of like good aspects from the military with being on time, being vigilant, being mentally and physically tough. And I pride myself with that, with working in the ring and going to the workouts and doing like my training. Um, so just having that mental mentality of like, yeah, it's gonna be hard, and it may some days it may suck, but I'm here, I showed up, and I just need to be 1% better.
Well, my question for you is, one of the things I've felt like I said this so many times with the other ladies at WoW, but one of the reasons why me and Stephanie tend to love WoW is just the different types of women we get to see on there and the different types of characters we get to see on there. And so, what is something that you love about working in WoW and the WoW locker room?
There's so many things to love about WoW. It's so hard to pinpoint, but I would say I love that we all respect each other. Yeah, we could have beef with each other and we settle it in the ring, but at the end of the day, we respect each other. And I think that's something very special with this company. I also love that we're all from different backgrounds, ethnicities, culture, sizes, shapes, and not a lot of wrestling companies have that, not to mention an all female roster. So that's special in itself. And then the last thing I would say is just the sisterhood of it. Like, yeah, someone may not like me or I may not like them, but we all know that it's bigger than us, that we're here to share, to take you on a journey, to show you our backstory, to make you want to root for us. So I think that's the special part also.
Yes, that is amazing and that is special. Like we do love, all of the women in the locker room, even though of course, as fans, we have our favorites, but we do ultimately love all of what WOW represents and all of the athletes that participate on there from their different walks of life. And in speaking about that, this season you really have come into more of your own as more of a tougher opponent. Your work has definitely, been upped a whole lot more in terms of, you as an athlete, and we love watching that and we love seeing that. And even recently, you squared up against Tormenta, who is a
Oh my
world
God.
renowned wrestler. So How do you feel about your evolution in the ring from the first season of WoW, of this version of WoW, up until now?
First off, thank you, Stephanie. That means so much to me. I've been working really hard. So the first season of WoW, I mean, I was just touching what wrestling is. Like, how do I do this? How do I become great at this sport that I just fell in love with? And I think that was the first season of like, okay, what am I? Am I a high flyer? Am I a ground and pound? So just finding my stitch or my movesets or my like athleticism I wanted to bring as myself. And then this season, season two, I was like, okay, I'm more confident. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing the prep work. I'm looking at everyone's matches before so I could be prepared as best as I can in the ring. And so that's where my military and my rugby start like meshing in. Because whenever I play a sport, I always watch my games. I always critique what I could do better, what I could, I guess, what I could have done to combat something or just in general. And so now that I'm more confident, I'm more aware of like, okay, if I watch Tormenta, because she's a beast in itself, I mean, she's an international superstar, and she has a lot of tape on her. I could do my homework and I could be prepared for the match. So thankfully, that's what got me through. Also, I'm quick, so maybe that helped a little.
Absolutely.
Yes, we were very happy watching that matchup because we was like, listen, you're tiny like I'm tiny, and so I'm always extra happy when I see a tinier woman do awesome things.
Run for the shirt, girl.
So you did go against Tormenta, but you've had some other opponents in WoW that might have been a bit of a challenge for you. So who was probably your toughest opponent, and who is somebody you probably had the most fun in ring with and WoW?
Okay, well, let's do the easy one. So I always have fun with the Tonga twins. I love them as sisters from another island. Whenever I'm with them, I feel empowered because of that island hospitality we create. Also, just having another person from a different island means so much when you're standing face to face with an opponent. Like, you know they have your back and you have theirs. My toughest opponent so far would have to be Penelope King. I mean, I don't know why she doesn't like me, but I get it. Maybe sunshines and beaches are not her thing, which everyone has their thing. But yeah, for sure, her. I feel like we're both a little bit the same size. She may be a little bit taller than me, but I just don't get it why she doesn't like me as much. Stephanie, I see you shaking your head. Like, no.
Oh my gosh, Tiki, me and Penelope have had a journey. Um, I mean, the focus is on you, but me and Penelope have just had a journey, and it's just, she and I have had run-ins where I've said something about her online and she's not liked it. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, I mean, we just have different paths, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. It's okay.
Like, it's perfectly okay. So, who is someone that you would be interested in finding out on WoW in the future?
I do want to fight Goldie Collins. I don't know, there's something about her that rubs me the wrong way, so I want to see how that goes. Another person I would love to try is Katarina Jinx, just because of her flexibility and her cat-like maneuvers, and I feel that would be both great matches to have. They're both tall, so I'm using my tininess and swiftiness as an advantage. Yeah, those two.
Definitely, have to agree. I didn't particularly like some things I saw about Goody as a fan. I'm like, oh no, like you're kind of mean. I don't know if I like that. So I definitely hear you. I do think it'll be an awesome match. And Katarina, we said this, I think, maybe a week or two ago, I think, about her flexibility is something we actually do appreciate about somebody being able to use different aspects of their bodies in wrestling matches. And so
Hmm.
for you as a woman of Pacific Island culture, what do you want for the future of other women who are also part of your heritage, but for wrestling purposes? What would you want for them, for the future of them in wrestling?
I would just want them to be looked at. I mean, that's all you can ask, right? You could give them the tools and the opportunity, but it's ultimately up to that person of how far they want to go. And so if I could just open the door for someone or many people, then that's great. And whatever you do, it's up to you. I believe in you. I encourage you. I support you. And if you need someone to be your cheerleader, I would do that. But yeah, just opening the doors for them.
That's amazing. So, if you could face any Pacific Islander women's wrestler from any era, who would it be and why?
The current person I'm looking at is Naya. She may be big, but I think I got her.
Yeah, that would be an amazing match. I would definitely tune in for that one because Nia Jax is definitely that
Okay.
girl. She is that girl, and I would just love to see that because there have been smaller women that have stepped up to her and have knocked her down. So you definitely could. That would be an amazing match to see happen at some point.
Yeah, I actually be really excited about that too. Just size difference alone, I'm just like, oh yes, I'll be so invested. So you are a woman who come from sports anyway. You rugby player, you mentioned volleyball, and so what is something that you like about being, like, you love about being a woman? I feel like we're so faceted in so many ways. We can do so many awesome things. So what is it for you that you love, one thing about being a woman?
I love that some days I could dress down and be in my sweats, and then other days I could dress up and be vibrant as I want to be. And I think that more people should be like that, where like if you don't want to dress up today, why should you? And if you want to dress up today, then be bright as you can be. Like who says you can't? So that would be it. Like being able to be a chameleon, but however I want to be.
Absolutely. And in speaking, going back to your sisterhood with the Tonga twins, you have worked together in three women or in trios tag team action before with them as well. And seeing as they have won the tag team gold before, would you
Mhm.
be interested in going after the trios tournament, like the trios title with the Tonga twins at any point?
Yes, I would love the opportunity to try and go for the trios. I think we have a good team. We have a good foundation. But I also would want to try for the belt, to just be like, hey, you guys got the belt? I could get the belt too. So that, but for sure, hopefully we could get into the trios. I have to talk to David about it, maybe like persuade him, take him to the beach, teach him how to fire dance. I'll work on it.
Yes, I feel like he would love that. He would definitely get a kick out of learning how to fire dance. He seems like that guy.
So what is one piece of advice you have gotten in wrestling that you still hold very dear to you?
I would say enjoy the moment. I forgot who told me this. I'm pretty sure multiple people told me this is enjoy the moment and have fun because you never know when this moment could be taken away and to always remember who you are. Um, the world can be crazy, people can be mean, people tell you who you should be, and as long as you remain true to yourself and remind yourself that to have fun and be present, I think that's the best advice.
Absolutely. And the last question is, Tiki, what do you believe the future holds for you and wow?
Ah, I hope, and I am sending it out to the universe that one day I will be WoW champion. I feel like I'm ready for it. I'm feeling more confident, um, more prepared for sure, and I'm doing my homework in the gym, in the ring, watching videos. So one day I hope that. Um, Another would be to pave the way for other islanders or other women of color, to invite them to the ring and to be part of WOW because I feel like you and Katrina mentioned is that we don't have enough people of color. And although it is a hard topic to talk about, it is a topic we need to talk about, and we need to invite more of these women so they could have a platform to tell their stories, and we could be inspired by them as well.
Absolutely. Well, Tiki Chamorro, thank you so much for coming on Steph and Cat Talk Wow. And if you can, just tell everybody where they can find and follow you on social media and what you've got going on.
Yeah, you could find me on Tiki Chamorro on Instagram and on Twitter. And also, wait, is it Twitter or is it X? Sorry, and X and TikTok as well. And if you don't like me or have other favorite WoW wrestlers, you could find the whole roster at WOWE.com.
And of course, you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter/X at Queen Steph Hardy, and follow the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast, and on Twitter at Hardy WrestlePod.
To me, I'm probably everywhere on social media. So just put in Cat We Trust. The E is a 3 on every place but Facebook. But that's where you can find me.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow, and we'll catch you later. Bye.